Good morning. It's 9:30. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Welcome to everyone. Members of the public are invited to participate in this meeting of council by accessing the meeting, which will be live streamed on our Middlesex Centre YouTube channel, or by contacting the municipal clerk to receive a registration link to join the meeting electronically. Members of the public may also attend the meeting in person here at the Ilderton Community Centre, located at 13168 Ilderton Road. It's the first meeting of the month, so I do want to acknowledge that the municipality of Middlesex Centre recognizes that we are gathering on the traditional lands and territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence of First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people on this land and are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect. Our neighboring First Nations communities, which continue to live as sovereign nations, include the Chippewa of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, and Munsee Delaware Nation. There are no additions to the agenda, except for the fact that I do have one announcement. And at the end of February, I received a letter from Stephen O'Brien, who is the president of the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, and Treasurers of Ontario, informing me that one of our staff, James Hudson, has received the Certified Municipal Officer, that is a CMO designation. But this is no small feat. For those of you that have done courses and earned designations, know that it takes a lot of dedication and a significant amount of time, considerable effort to complete the program. And that doesn't stop there. There are ongoing requirements to maintain this designation. So I just want to emphasize that everybody in our municipality benefits from all the work that our staff, most recently now James, who are employed here, when they deliver professional services, having those professional accreditations and designations really means that we're getting a bang for our buck here. So James, council, and I applaud your commitment and your dedication to personal development, professional excellence. Congratulations on your designation. You're welcome. Okay, let's sneak that in because he's the clerk and he knows what goes on the agenda. So. Okay, so next on the agenda, I'm going to, as I said, there are no additions except for that one. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? I don't see any hands, so we can now move on to the Court of Revision. The motion before us is that the council appoint Councillor Heffernan as a member to the Court of Revision for the Fisher Watt Drain as a replacement for Councillor Arts. And that council adjourn its regular meeting at 9:33. Just called away. There's been just a slight change since I saw Councillor Heffernan this morning. I'm going to replace the wording Councillor Heffernan with Councillor Shipley. So I'll start from the beginning. Is that council appoint Councillor Shipley then as a member of the Court of Revision for the Fisher Watt Drain as a replacement for Councillor Arts, who is away today, and that council adjourn the regular meeting at 9:33 a.m. to sit as the Court of Revision. Members of the Court of Revision are Deputy Mayor Brennan, Councillor Shipley, and Deputy Mayor. I've got Deputy. Oh, and Deputy Mayor Brennan is the chair. Right, that's the part. Okay, so do we have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Spurs and Councillor Cates. All in favor? And that is carried. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, good. I'll call the Court of Revision to order. All appeals are required to be received within 10 days prior to the date of the Court of Revision, as per the notice provided. To this point, we have no appeals, have been received. I will ask members of the community if there are any questions. No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that has a question? Seeing none. I don't believe there's any in favor of that. We're going with that Middlesex Center Court of Revision approves the schedule assessment for the Fisher Walk Amusement Drain previously adopted by bylaw 2024-009 as outlined in the report presented by Stewart Associates. And that the corresponding bylaw be forwarded to council for final reading. I'm referring that the quarterly revision will then adjourn at 9:35. Motion to adjourn. Councilor Shipley, all in favor? So moved.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brennan. We're going to move on now to item 6.1, which is the Middlesex County OPP Policing Summary for 2023. We have Inspector Ross Stewart here, the Detachment Commander, to provide an overview of that report. Welcome. And I'm going to turn mine off. When you're ready, turn it on, and the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. And I would like to say thank you to everyone for the opportunity to see you again and provide a little bit of a summary for what has been happening in Middlesex Center over the course of the 2023 calendar year. The report that I've provided that you can see on the screen there, the initial graph on the left provides a 5-year breakdown for council in relation to the number of reported occurrences that Middlesex OPP has dealt with specifically within Middlesex Center during 2023. I would draw council's attention to that we see quite a dramatic increase in the number of calls for service between 2022 and 2023. And I can account for why that is, and I think it's important we talk about that. At the end of 2022, across the province, the OPP moved from the traditional handwritten paper provincial offense notices to an electronic system within the officers' cruisers. And as soon as an electronic ticket is generated, it also subsequently creates an occurrence. Now, when I look at the number of provincial offense notices that our officers issued in Middlesex Center during 2023, it actually is only a 3 difference in the increase between the calls for service from 2022 to 2023. So by moving to that electronic format, it in its entirety accounts for the increase in the calls for service. Now, what I would also note is, as you are aware, within the billing model, there is one stream of the expense that comes back to the municipality that is specific to the calls for service that we respond to. As it relates to traffic enforcement or proactive enforcement, that is an expectation that already falls under your base service cost per household. So in fact, the increase in the number of occurrences because of the proactive enforcement and the e-tickets, as we call them, actually does not result in any increase in what your bill will be from an expense standpoint from the OPP. That is something that is already absorbed and as an expectation for our officers. So I did want to clarify that because it is quite a dramatic increase, but it is all proactive. So it's good news. From the standpoint, I'm just going to go through some of our major categories as to how we track our calls for service. And I'll start with our violent crime index, which is on the bottom left of the screen. And I will draw attention to a few increases that we saw within Middlesex Center during 2023. We did see an increase in the number of sexual assault investigations that we were involved in. 2022, there was 10, and in 2023, there was 15. I know that there is significant interest in the public to ensure that these types of investigations are very thoroughly reviewed and investigated. And as a result, whenever we receive one of these calls, they are investigated by our major crime unit, our detective unit. So they are taken very seriously and investigated thoroughly. You'll also see on the report that there was one abduction that occurred within Middlesex Center. And I want to draw attention to that because I know that on the surface that can seem very concerning. The way that our tracking system works is that if we have a situation where someone is charged with forcible confinement, that will show up on this report as an abduction. I just want to clarify that because I don't want anybody thinking that someone was snatched off the streets in Middlesex Center at some point during 2023. That is not the case. It's simply during one of our investigations into an intimate partner violence related offense. There was an element of forcible confinement involved in that investigation, and that is why you see that on the report itself. I'd also like to draw council's attention to the numbers relating to robberies. Just for everyone's awareness, a robbery is a theft with violence. That can be what we often think of as someone walking into a bank with a firearm, for example. And it can also be somebody shoving someone and stealing their lunch at school. So by definition, all of those are robberies. Quite concerning that in 2022, there were 6 robberies over the course of the calendar year, but I'm happy to report that there were none in 2023. So that is good news. Moving on to the property crime summary, I'm quite pleased with what I see from an overall standpoint, not only specific to Middlesex Center, but frankly across the county itself. During 2023, we have seen a reduction in property crimes. Within Middlesex Center specifically, we saw break-and-enters drop by 27%. Theft overs, which the over part refers to anything over $5,000. Typically, those are large-scale thefts of construction equipment or motor vehicles. And again, we saw an decrease of 44% in those. Theft under, so under $5,000, a decrease of almost 30%. For an overall decrease in property crimes of 23% throughout Middlesex Center in 2023, which I see as very good news. We have, however, continued to see an increase year over year in one area of property crime, and that is fraud. That is a very concerning problem that is not unique to Middlesex Center by any means. We continue to see the Canada Revenue Agency frauds that probably all of us have received phone calls about. But most concerning right now is elder-related fraud, and we call them grandparent scams, where good folks are receiving phone calls saying that one of their loved ones is in custody. It's the police calling, and they're demanding money for them to be released. So I think it's important to talk about this, not just for council's awareness, but for anybody that is listening online. The police will never call demanding money to have the loved one released. We may call if we have someone in custody that we need to release them to. We will never ask for money in order for that to happen. It's just not simply the way the system works. So in the event anyone were to receive a phone call like that, my recommendation would be to hang up and then to call 911 and notify us immediately so that we can investigate that. One of the things that we are doing, not just in Middlesex Center, but throughout Middlesex and frankly across the province, is we have increased the number of public awareness sessions that we are doing with some of the older folks in the communities as a means of just building some awareness around the fact that there are people out there trying to commit these types of crimes. And hopefully by providing that information, give them a little bit more of a comfort level as to how to deal with it and prevent them from being victimized. From a drug-related crime standpoint, we did see quite a noticeable increase in Middlesex Center during 2023. you'll see that our possession charges, so simple possession, went from 2 in 2022 to 7 in 2023. In reviewing these prior to the meeting today, what I can tell you is those are almost exclusively cannabis readily available to a driver in a vehicle. So as everyone is probably aware, and I think I've spoken about this prior, with the legalization of marijuana, people are allowed to possess it. What they are not allowed to do is have it available to them while they're operating a motor vehicle. And if our officers have an interaction with folks for whatever the reason may be, and they find that that cannabis is within reach of the driver, you will be charged with it. So we do see quite a dramatic increase in the possession charges, but at the same time, given that it's cannabis readily available, I actually see that as a positive thing because it gives the opportunity for an officer to provide some education and also to ensure that these folks aren't impaired by drug while they're driving. But we do see an increase as well in trafficking, which of course are the more serious drug-related offenses. Where in 2022 there was 1 instance, and in 2023 there was 3. As it relates to property crime and drug-related crime, you may be aware that we have a unit specifically in Middlesex County that addresses these types of offenses. This is where they specialize. And we call it our Community Street Crime Unit. These are plainclothes officers who focus on anything property related and anything drug related, as well as supporting our frontline operations. I did want to provide you with just a very high level overview of the work that that unit has done throughout Middlesex County during 2023. Because what I can tell you is that people who are committing drug-related crime and people who are committing property-related crime will flow not just from municipality to municipality, but throughout the county, as well as from county to county. So any proactive work that is done by our street crime unit throughout the county, and frankly by neighboring counties, is a positive thing on Middlesex Center, because we do know that these folks come and go throughout all municipalities. During 2023, the street crime unit was involved in 136 different occurrences, resulting in 93 warrants being executed, 119 persons being charged, and just under 1,000 criminal charges being. So that is a pretty dynamic response to property and drug-related crime. And frankly, it does account for some of the trafficking charges, the increase in trafficking that you see, as well as the decrease in property-related crime. I'd like to just briefly talk about some of our traffic safety related initiatives over the course of 2023, specific to Middlesex Center. Over the course of the calendar year, within Middlesex Center, our officers laid almost 1,500 charges, about 1,486. And from a perspective standpoint, I know it's not on this report, that's a 46% increase from 2022, where there was just over 1,000. So quite an increase in proactive enforcement throughout Middlesex Center. Impaired driving in 2023, we laid 41 charges within Middlesex Center, which is an increase from 38 in 2022. And from a ride standpoint, so again, those proactive initiatives, that is an expectation for our officers to be doing every shift. An increase from 189 in 2022 to 302 in 2023 for 60% increase. And again, that is specific to Middlesex Center. So when I look at that and I see that we are stopping more cars, we are doing more proactive ride, am I concerned that there's an increase in impaired driving charges? Yes, but I would expect that. If we're interacting more with the public and specifically looking for these types of things, I would assume that if we're doing it properly, we would see an increase. The sad reality is, excuse me, is that our officers arrest impaired drivers every day of the week at any time during the day. If I hear the radio go off and it's 8:30 in the morning and someone is under arrest for impaired driving, I am not surprised in the least anymore. It is very unfortunate that is the reality that we face as police officers in Ontario, across Canada, and I would expect elsewhere. So that is where the proactive elements of what we're doing is so important from a community safety standpoint. I can tell you that these enforcement numbers and the increases that we are doing is consistent across the county as well. And much like as it relates to property crime and drug crime, the proactive enforcement efforts of our officers in other municipalities and in other counties have a direct positive impact on folks that are subsequently passing through Middlesex Centre on their travels. So I think that that's good news. From a collision standpoint, overall in 2023, we did see a small decrease in the number of collisions within Middlesex Centre. From a property damage collision standpoint, so no injuries, just damage to a vehicle, 368, which is down from 393 in 2022. Personal injury collisions, so not just damage to vehicle, but also someone has been injured. 50 in 2023, from 75 in 2022. But unfortunately, 3 fatal motor vehicle collisions in 2023 as opposed to 2 in 2022. So we did see an increase there. What I will say, and I know I've said this before, but I think it's a good reminder for everybody, is that in my experience, not just in this role, but as the regional traffic manager overseeing traffic enforcement for West Region prior to coming into this position, almost without exception, every one of the fatal collisions that happened within OPP area, whether it's in West Region or anywhere else in the province, we consider them to be preventable collisions that don't have to happen. And what we see consistently again and again is the 4 factors, we call them the big 4, that there's either one element or multiple elements that are present that account for some of the reason why these collisions happen. That's excessive speed, not wearing a seatbelt, impairment by either alcohol and or drug, and what has become very prevalent is distracted driving. These are all elements of every collision that we look at, and we consistently see it involved, one or multiple factors involved. So a good reminder, I think, for everybody that if a collision is preventable, then if we all do our part, maybe we can see some decrease in those numbers come down. I did want to provide council with a little bit of an update in regards to our personnel over the course of 2023. I'm very pleased that we have seen quite a notable increase in our frontline complement over the course of the calendar year. We have had numerous new recruits come on board, as well as experienced police officers who have come over from other police services to join the OPP and wanted to come to Middlesex. And we've had what we call lateral transfers, members of the OPP at other detachments who have transferred into the Middlesex area. And I would estimate 15 new officers over the course of 2023, which frankly has brought us within one member of a full comp, what we consider to be a full complement. And that member, that vacancy will be filled in the next recruit class. So this is very, very good news, not just from a detachment standpoint, as it provides more support for our members, but frankly, it's putting more boots on the ground. It's putting more cruisers out in the street, and it's allowing us to not only react to calls for service, but be more proactive and be more visible. So really good news, and we're grateful for that. We did have some turnover in 2023 with our mental health crisis team. I know I've spoken about this before as well, where we had 3 crisis workers riding with our officers, 1 per shift. at any given time, Monday to Friday. The opportunity came up for our previous members to move on to other things. And in working with our partner at CMHA, we were able to immediately fill those vacancies. So that from a program standpoint, there was no impact whatsoever. So that's really good news. For anyone that may not be aware, this program really allows us to maximize the experience and expertise that comes with a crisis worker in being able to manage some of the more challenging calls that we go to, specifically relating to mental health and people that are in crisis. Not just from a response standpoint, but actually providing them with meaningful resources moving forward, so that those folks get the help that they need, that they get that help quickly, and the benefit is not only to them, but it also results in a decrease in calls for service involving the police. And as I'm sure you can appreciate, any time that we can avoid unnecessarily involving the police in these types of calls, that's ideal, I think, because there is some. We don't want to make the situation more difficult. Uniform showing up, and this uniform can at times escalate a situation just because of some people's past experiences. So this is a very good thing. The last thing that I would like to touch on today is talk just very briefly about some bail compliance. I know that this has been something that has been quite prevalent in the media over the course of last year in relation to concerns that have been raised about folks who are out on judicial release and subsequently reoffend. Over the course of 2023, the OPP created what we call our bail compliance dashboard. This is a summary that our officers can access by the computer in their car, as well as their police-issued cell phone, that provides them with immediate access to anyone who's currently on bail for a firearm or weapons-related offense. And it allows us the opportunity to ensure that these individuals are complying with the conditions of their bail by having the specific conditions that they're on immediately available to our officers, and they can follow up with those individuals. Currently within Middlesex County, there are 4 individuals that are contained on this dashboard, none within Middlesex Center, but 4 within the county. And I can assure council that this is something that gets our ongoing attention, and will continue to get our ongoing attention. Given the severity of these types of offenses, I think that it is important that there's a high level of accountability in relation to whether or not someone is complying with their bail conditions or not. Pending any questions, that is my report for today. And again, thank you for the opportunity.
And thank you, Inspector. That was very thorough. I'll look to council now for questions. Councilor Bruce, I'll start with you.
Yes, good report, Inspector. 2 questions. What are the drugs beyond cannabis on the street? Meth would be the next one, and what else do you see out there?
I would almost suggest, sir, that fentanyls replace meth as number 2. Very prevalent. Obviously an ongoing concern given how deadly it is. But I would say cannabis, then fentanyl, then methamphetamine.
Follow-up question is, I know a couple of police officers in the London Police, and they struggle to respond to 911 calls. It takes a long time for them to get there. It looks like we're in good shape here. Can you comment on our response?
I can. It's an excellent question. The good news is in Middlesex County, and frankly, this has been consistent with wherever I have worked in the province in the OPP. We do not have response times that are delayed for one reason or another. From the volume of calls for service, versus the personnel numbers that we have, we're able to effectively manage that. And as a result, we can respond to those types of calls. And even on a shift by shift basis, what I can assure council is that it is rare that we have multiple calls waiting in the queue for an officer to attend. Now, that's not to suggest that if a call comes in at 5 o'clock and shift changes at 6 o'clock, that we won't hold it for night shift because we're trying to be fiscally responsible and limit overtime. But that call does get it dealt with immediately when night shift starts. So I feel like we're in a very good position to respond to 911 calls quickly. Thank you.
And Councillor Chris, go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your report and for all you do for your service. So I did have the question about the mental health, which you have addressed. So I have a couple of things. One, maybe I'll just say them and then you can, one maybe needs an answer. So you said in your report, if somebody gets a call, you know, a grandparent scheme, whatever it is, do you want them to call 911 or do you want them to call, I don't know what the name of the, you know, the office number, one, whatever. So that was my one question for you. The other thing, just to use a couple of your words for what I see and what I see comments on, or ask me about or complain or email. And I think that, you know, we all need to do our part better. There seems to be such a lack of regard for the basics of the speeding and stop signs. And I even witnessed it myself the other day, somebody coming out of a new subdivision and they were zoom down the road and you just right around the corner. It's just, why the lack of regard for stop signs and for the speeding. So that was just a comment that I wanted to make. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your questions. Yeah, I have to be careful when I say call 911 because at times what I mean is call police. And so, yes, it's an excellent point. So if you receive a phone call in relation to something like a grandparent scam, to clarify, I would not recommend calling 911 physically unless you feel like there is an imminent emergency. We do have what we call a non-emergency line. It goes into our provincial communications center. In fact, the call takers are the very same. It just prioritizes it differently. And that number is 1-888-310 1122. And that call will then be routed through to one of our call takers and passed along subsequently to one of our road officers to initiate investigation. But it will be prioritized based upon what else is going on. So thank you for that. It's a good opportunity to clarify on my part. From the standpoint of your second question, I would agree. There seems to be at times an ongoing disregard for traffic safety. We see it all the time in relation to stop signs, speeding. What comes to mind immediately is some of the concerns that we faced in other communities like in Lucan, like in Thames Centre, with very problematic driving behaviors passing school buses that are stopped with the lights on. It mystifies me at times that happens, and it's a source of great concern for sure. I take a lot of encouragement from seeing where our proactive enforcement numbers are, but what I would say is this: for anyone in the community that identifies a problematic area, for example, a particular intersection with a stop sign, a particular stretch of roadway where speeds are increased, please let us know. we have a very robust what we call focus patrol program. So again, going back to Luke and into Thames Center and the school bus concerns, when those are made aware, we established a focus patrol, and that gets built into every single shift that our officers work to be out specifically looking at those problem areas and to address them. And so, do we see things like speeding and intersection related problems everywhere? We do. But if there is a specific area, please let us know. And we will have our officers come out and give specific attention to that area and to that problem to hopefully address it.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for that. And just to clarify, I meant to add on to what I said, that I realize that it's everywhere. I'm not just suggesting that it's only here and nobody's doing the job. I did not mean it's, we all need to do better wherever we are. Thank you.
Well, I absolutely appreciate that. And
Deputy, raise your hand.
I'm gonna switch gears on you. The school board just recently voted against putting officers back in the high schools and doing the education with the grade 7. And I was really disappointed to hear that. Grandkids remember in high school. When I see officers in there all the time, and I can't help but think that if there's an officer at school, that a lot of the problems there, and I hear things that are going on there. And my question is, I guess, is there anything that we as a council, you can do in communications with the school board to try to get this turned around? Because I feel it was very effective when we had the officers there, and I think it's a real detriment not to have them with what's going on in today's society. I don't know if you have any comments on that or not.
well, thank you for your question, sir. I share your concerns. I see a lot of value in the school resource officer program and physically having officers within the schools. My personal feeling is that there are opportunities there to build relationships with the kids, to eliminate the mystique behind the uniform. And we have to balance that with, unfortunately, some individuals have had negative experiences with the police, and that can act as a trigger. So we want to be respectful of that, of course, but I would very much like to see our officers back in the schools. I can tell you that I've had conversations with my counterparts in London as well as St. Thomas, who are all affected by the decision of the Thames Valley School Board. We all have concerns with that. And we're hopeful that prior to that decision being made, that our advocation would have provided an opportunity maybe for that decision to have gone in the opposite direction and for us to be welcomed back. I can tell you that there are other school boards, for example, Lambton, where the officers are in the school, and it continues to be a very effective program. I would like to see that here again. And that is something that I will continue to advocate for. From an OPP standpoint, we are in the middle of a province-wide study involving the University of Laurier University, where one of the members has been attending detachments around the province, meeting with school boards around the province, and we do anticipate in the near future there being a report that comes back to the school boards in relation to the effectiveness as well as the challenges that come along with the school resource officer program. And certainly once that report is finalized and made available, that will be shared with the school boards as hopefully a means of reopening dialogue on this issue and perhaps finding a middle ground that allows us to come back.
Thank you for that, Scott. You better just back up again to the speeding. Do you find the stunt driving is increasing? And if it is, are they running just for the sake of speeding, or are they running for another reason, for no reason?
I don't know if stunt driving is increasing. I can tell you that, so stunt driving more than 50 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. Again, unfortunately, one of those things where both in Middlesex and around the province, we are stopping people for stunt driving every day. And I think if anyone that follows the West Region Twitter feed will see that. I don't know that they're running for necessarily running for criminal reasons. It's just excessive speed a lot of the time. What I can tell you is that from an OPP policy standpoint is that unless there is an imminent risk to the public, we will not pursue a vehicle. And it's simply not worth the risk for a speeder to have somebody accelerate even further, drive more aggressively, and attempt to get away from our officers. So there's very tight parameters around our policy when it comes to pursuits. And really the justification for those is that unless someone's life is imminently at risk, that person's allowed to continue down the road. And I can tell you that I'm fully supportive of that because I have seen the impact of pursuits that have gone wrong. So yeah, from a stunt driving standpoint, it's prevalent, despite the fact that it's constant arrests for it, impoundments of vehicles, increased penalties over the course of the last couple of years in relation to length of impoundment, length of license suspension, and yet it continues. Very concerning.
We've gone around the horseshoe. I did have one question as well. As you know, we're in the process of appointing members to the new police boards. And I wondered if you had any comment on how you see your participation and commitment and how your involvement will look going forward. Your thoughts on that?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, the new Community Safety and Policing Act comes into effect as of April 1st. I am a big proponent of this. I feel like it is overdue. How it's going to impact me is there's going to be new parameters upon detachment commanders like myself from an accountability standpoint and from a reporting standpoint, as well as an assessment standpoint by the Police Service Board as to the type of job that I'm doing. Am I doing a good job and where I can improve? And I welcome that. I think that's going to be a really good thing. I feel like the transparency and the increased reporting that's going to come with the new CSPA is something that I've already embraced in the last year since I've been here through making an ongoing effort to get out to councils, even though they don't necessarily have a representation on the Police Service Board yet, because I think that that's important. Each of the municipalities has the opportunity to ask questions and raise concerns and to see me. But the expansion of the Police Service Board that will come with the new Police Services Act is a very, very good thing because the representation is going to be wider. And so it's going to provide opportunities, I think, for the municipalities to get more information more rapidly. The challenge for me will be to take right now is a Police Service Board report for Thames Center, which is approximately 20 pages long, and not turn it into a 100-page document that captures all of the municipalities. But at the same time, that has to be balanced with making sure that it's a fulsome report and that is completely transparent. So an excellent question. I'm actually looking really forward to it and for working with the new board. Currently, the Police Service Board in Thames Center meets 3 times a year. I have not had any feedback yet as to what the reporting structure will be like with the new board. I anticipate it'll probably be a little bit more frequent than that, which again, I see as a very positive thing. So.
I was thinking out loud here. I think it's quarterly, but I'm not positive. It hasn't decided yet for sure. I think there's been talk about that, but yeah, TBD. This has been most interesting and useful, I think. We always appreciate your time and attention to detail. I think you anticipate questions because I think most of us not needed things. You covered it. We still had a chance to ask things, and again, we got great answers. So I really appreciate all your effort and time today, and we look forward to seeing you next time. I don't know what that will look like, or whether somebody from our board will be reporting, or we'll be coming together, but change is good, it seems. So we'll look forward to all the changes and updates, whatever they look like into the future. So thanks again for all your time.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and for council. And just to make sure everyone understands that, even though we are moving to a new structure with greater representation with the Police Service Board, that in my mind should negate the opportunity for this to happen with council here and with the other municipalities. So I welcome that, and thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And we have another Right-In Community Futures Middlesex update presentation. Unfortunately, we are unable to attend, so that will be deferred to a future date. So the next item that we deal with is 7.1, and the motion before us is that the minutes of the Middlesex Center Council meeting held on February 21, 2024 be adopted as printed. If I could have a mover, please, Councillor Shipley and Councillor Cates, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to the consent agenda, this is a list of items that are typically received as one motion. Are there any members of council that want to request one or more items be removed? I don't see any hands, no questions on those. Then the motion before us is that items 8.1 through 8.7 listed under the heading of consent agenda for March 6, 2024 be adopted as recommended. Councillor Burrs and Councillor Cates, thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Moving on to staff reports. The first item we have is the item 9.1, which is the establishment of Middlesex Center Economic Development Advisory Committee. And I'll look to Michael. Okay, the CEO will present.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Through the chair, the members of council, the clerk and we can jointly do this quick report for council. But we've determined that it would make good business sense to establish a committee of council that would be focused for economic development to support our business community with the intent of having greater communications and bringing representation together to boast how the municipality can support our businesses in both Ilderton and the Kamoka-Kilworth area. And so our clerk has reached out to council for the representation from the council end of things. And Councillor Heffernan and Councillor Cates have expressed interest to be appointed to this committee. We envision this group coming together maybe on a quarterly basis or on an as-needed basis. We don't want to make this too comprehensive, but we do feel that we're at a point where it does make sense for the municipality to be more involved and encouraged with our business community, and this is one way in which we can certainly do that. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions on that report? No. Okay. Okay.
Through the chair, I'll just jump in and chat a little bit about next steps. So following today's anticipated approval of the terms of reference, that will codify sort of the rules of play for everybody involved with the committee, as well as our council representation. But then going forward, we'll look to post an advertisement through our channels to recruit some citizen representation. What that's going to look like in terms of the membership composition is a max of 4 members representing area businesses in the business community. The criteria, the specific criteria for membership is outlined a little bit further in the terms of reference. We'll also be looking for members representing the Ilderton and area business improvement area and the Kamoka-Kilworth business improvement area. So I'll leave it at that. And to the mayor, if there's any questions, we'll go from there.
Comments, questions, clarification? Nope, everyone's all clear. Okay, in that case, we do have a motion before us. And that is that the report CLK 02/2024 regarding the establishment of Middlesex Center Economic Development Advisory Committee, otherwise known as EDAC, be received. And that the Council for the Municipality of Middlesex Center resolved to establish a Middlesex Center Economic Development Advisory Committee. And that this committee, the terms of reference for it are attached here to be approved. And that Councillor Cates and Councillor Heffernan be appointed as municipal council representatives to the committee for the duration of the 2022-26 term of council. And further, that the municipal clerk be directed to advertise for interested public representatives in accordance with the membership criteria contained in the committee terms of reference. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Shipley and Councillor Bruce, all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much for the report, and we'll look forward to spreading the news when we get everyone appointed. Alrighty, number 9.2 is a routine disclosure policy. Megan Cummermans, Deputy Clerk, is in attendance to provide an overview of the staff report. The floor is yours, Megan.
Through the chair, good morning, everyone. The purpose of this report is to provide council and staff with an overview of the routine disclosure policy. This policy was created to formalize and define the process for the routine disclosure and active dissemination of records in the custody and control of the municipality. The routine disclosure policy will empower municipal staff to provide copies of certain records in response to requests from the public without requiring a formal Freedom of Information request under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. This policy serves to further the accountability and transparency of the municipality's operations by making information readily available to the public. If anyone has any questions regarding the policy, I would be happy to address them. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. I'll look to councillors then. Councillor Bruce, I'll start with you.
Not so much on the report, but I guess it's to Megan or James. This is like the request for information. It's another way to request information from us. If it isn't the MFIPA or whatever. How much time do you spend on it now? Like, are we being inundated with these requests?
So through the chair, staff on a daily basis receive requests for minor items that we easily can pull. So this kind of just gives us a guideline as to what we can release and what needs to go through an official process of the Freedom of Information request. James.
Yeah, and that's good. And then through the chair, just a little bit on frequency. So in 2023, we had 12 formal Freedom of Information requests, compared with approximately, say, 4 the previous year. So we're seeing a significant increase. Numbers don't tell the full picture because each of those requests can range from an hour of staff time to up to 50 hours of staff time. But I would say if we were to quantify it on a week-by-week basis, there's at least 3 to 4 hours being spent by the municipal clerk's team on Municipal Freedom of Information Act requests. This will help us to bring that number down a little bit, and we'll still have those formal requests to manage.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? I don't see any hands. In that case, the motion before us is that report CLK 02/2024 regarding the disclosure policy be received, and that the routine disclosure policy attached as Appendix A be approved. Deputy Mayor Brennan, Councillor Cates, all in favor? And that is carried. Moving on, there are notices of motion, and then the correspondence, there are 10 items. Is there anything here anyone wants to comment on? Oh, lots of hands. I'll start with you, Councillor Shipley, and I'll move around the motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was looking for a council 11.9 of us in respect to 11.2 water testing. I know what's going to happen here is you'll have to take it to labs and pay for it. It's not going to happen. Now, Savo does have a lot of private wells. So I'd like to make a motion that we support this and send a letter to the minister.
Councillor Casey, seconding. Okay. We'll do it right now. Okay. So before we take a vote, comments, questions, concerns, discussion? Councillor Case?
I just want to say I was gonna say that too, Wayne. I too have a concern about the water testing, even for, listing properties for sale or for rural people. It's not even just this area, it's all areas that, people need to be able to get their water tested. Free and easy. We couldn't agree more.
In that case, we can take the motion. Yeah, the motion is before us as the wording from Councillor Shipley is. Okay, it's all good. All in favor of that? And that is carried. Thank you much, everyone. Any other items? Councillor Cates.
Yes, we have the motion, I'd like to support the motion, for AMO. The AMO one, and I just wanted to say, that I thought that it was a fantastic report that they put together. So I encourage everybody to have a really good read of that. So I'd like to, put that full motion forward to support that.
I appreciate that. That is there was something that, there's a lot of work that went into that report, and I think there was progress being noticed subsequent to the last time that whole kind of conversation happened with the province, and it seems to me that that slippery slope has increased the slope of the line, and we've been moving backwards. Being the only province in Canada that has to pay for a number of services, plus, yeah, it's just time to do this review. So the motion is number 1111 on the next page. So let's do that one, and then we'll come back and do the motion for all of the other items after we do this one. Okay, yes, Councillor Bruce, question?
Yeah, just on that same one, Councillor Cates covered off the one that I would support. This is not, over the years, it's incredible. We live in the richest province and we're underspending per capita on everything. Healthcare, you name it. We underspend. And, that happened during the Mike Harris era. Stuff was downloaded to balance a budget 1 year. Well, I'm glad they're doing it and I hope it goes somewhere. We'll see.
So, no comment is nothing ventured, right? Okay. So, I'm not going to read that whole motion, it's quite long. Is that okay? Yeah, it's all documented here, it's a full page. So as per page 7 of your agenda there, item 1111, I'm moving then Councillor Shipley and Councillor Cates, thank you. All in favor of that? And that is carried. So now, moving back to the notice of motion for correspondence, we're going to skip number, which one was it? Number two. There's a song. Okay, so with the exception of that one and 11, which is on the next page, those items, then will be received as one. The motion is Council of Middlesex, Municipality of Middlesex Center receives correspondence items as identified. Councillor Cates and Councillor Burris, thank you very much. All in favor of that? Okay, that is carried. Thank you very much for those items. Now we have to move into closed session. The motion before us is that the Council of Municipality of Middlesex Center adjourn to closed session at 10:28 a.m. pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss the following matters. Under section 239(2)(a), the security of the property of the municipality or local board, that is an IT security update. Under section 239(2)(b), personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and this is an HR staffing update. 239(2)(c), a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. This is a potential acquisition, property in Ward 4. Under section 239(2)(e), litigation or potential litigation, including matters before the administrative tribunals affecting the local municipality or board, and that is the Ontario Land Tribunal file update. And finally, under section 239(2)(k), a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. And this is with respect to a land use agreement. Roll please, Councillor Cates and Councillor Shipley, I see your hand. Thank you. All in favor? And we will move into closed. If we want, we can take a 2-minute break while we unplug and set up our next speaker.